What is going on, everybody? Today we're doing an install video of our MagRide coilover kits on this very nice 2021 Mach 1. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Please hit that subscribe button down below. Our GT350 MagRide coilover conversion kits, that's a mouthful. I'll put a link in the video description below of the video kind of developing and testing that at VIR. But if you're new here, this is the kit as it will come. Here's the upper perch that sits on the spring. Obviously the springs are lower perch and some assorted hardware and shims. And what's cool about this kit is the aftermarket spring rate options are not very plentiful. So if you start doing track days with your car and you start really pushing, especially if you do Aero and the car just kind of squats a little bit harder going through some turns and everything, and you want stiffer springs, that's where this kit really comes in, short of going to a full coilover setup. This particular car is still relatively daily driven, but he does do plenty of track days with it, and is starting to push the car a lot harder, so this kit will be a good fit for this car. As you can see, we have the Vorschlag caster camber plates already, which is good. That's what I developed on my car. We also have kits for Steeda and Maximum Motorsport caster camber plates as well. So I think that's about it right now. Before we even raise the car up, we're going to take a couple measurements. So that way when we come back down on the ground, we can reset it at the proper ride height. This particular instance, since it is daily driven, we're not going to lower it or anything. So we're just going to shoot for the same height, same alignment settings and everything. So that's about it. We're going to jump right into it. All right, so we have all of our heights marked like I was mentioning. We did one on the splitter as well. We even did the quarter panel, even though we're not touching the back of the car, just to make sure it's at the same rake and everything. Doesn't hurt to have a few too many measurements. The other thing we did was we hung a string to get our camber measurement, so that way we can get the camber right back to where it was. Now doing all that ahead of time will, make the steps later a lot easier, just to make sure we get everything back to where it was. All right guys, so as you can see, car is up and brakes and rotors are off. So that way we can get in here and do what we need to do. It's pretty simple, undo any cables that are in the way. The main one is obviously these two bolts right here, and sway bar link. You can see we already got that out of the way. Then we'll come up top, pull these three off, drop the whole assembly out, and then we'll pick you up from there. All right, so we're ready to pull the caster camber plate off. We have our spring compressor tool on it. Now, a side option you could do, and I know this for a fact because we just did the driver's side. So you can see our kit's already in this one. If you leave the strut on the car with a jack under the control arm, obviously, you can undo this top nut and like slowly relieve the spring pressure. That worked out for us on the doing that side. So you won't have to use a spring compressor, but technically a spring compressor is, I guess, slightly more proper, maybe. But yeah, so this is how we're gonna pop this one off. All right, so here we have the strut, obviously everything off of it. Something unique to the Mach 1s that we just discovered is this little top piece on the strut here has these little ears on it. Now my GT350 does not have it. I'm unsure of GTs at the moment, but the simple fix here is to just kind of cut these off, which again, we already did on that side, worked out great. So a little Dremel tool and just a few minutes to get these little ears off. If you're wondering, these ears are just kind of what hold this boot on, but when you go to the coilover spring, you got to ditch this boot anyway, so you're not really losing anything. All right, so as you can see, super quick, but just you have to nip enough off to get our lower perch on. So here's our lower perch that gives you the flat surface for the coilover spring here. And as you can see, so everything fits down there, gives a nice flat perch. One thing to note, this lower perch, I'm 99% sure is the same for almost any S550 chassis Mustang. So this perch is universal between all of our kits. Now what we're going to do is swap on our spring perch onto the this car has Vorschlag caster camber plates, and for demonstration purposes we will go over how our Steeda and Maximum Motorsport kits will work as well. All right, so here is the Vorschlag caster camber plate disassembled with those 3 bolts on top. What we're going to do now is press this centerpiece out. Well, I say press. For demonstration purposes, we're going to use a vise and a hammer, so that way just pretty much anybody has those available. But the interference fits on these aren't anything crazy, so it should be easy enough. As you can see, like, we're not holding that lower piece. It's just very, very loosely in there. Yeah, I feel it coming already. Whoop. We'll cut that part out too. So there you go. So the 2 pieces are separated. And this is where our upper perch comes in. You'll receive it with a new bearing already in it. And that new bearing will just end up pressing on almost exactly like what we just pressed off. So I'm sure Vorschlag's tolerance might be like 1 or 2 thousandths, you know, but that 1 or 2 thousandths could be enough where this slips on pretty easy, or you might need to press it on. If it slips on pretty easy, that's where some retaining compound would be good to use. Put some of this around this little rim right here when you press it on, so you know it's not going to come off. This one, it feels like we're going to have a 1 or 2 thousandths interference fit. So what we're going to do is press this one on. So again, you can use a press if you want. We're going to use a vise just so it's a little more, you know, pretty much anybody can do it. So I'm trying to get it in as straight as I can.
That's a little lopsided.
Yeah, I need to straighten it. So, you know what we'll do? We'll go like this.
There it goes.
All right, so once you get it lined up, the fit shouldn't be too bad. There we go. All right, so I can see that it's fully seated. And so there you go. So we're pressed in. The fit shouldn't be so tight that you don't need anything more than a vise. Or if it's a loose fit, don't forget, put a little retaining compound on it. If you have Steeda or Maximum Motorsports caster camber plates, your top perch that you get will look like this. And kind of like pressing this one in, this piece right here will press into this recession part of the caster camber plate. And kind of just like the ones we just did, if it seems like it's going to be a tiny bit of a loose fit, use some retaining compound. But otherwise, you just need to press it in. That fit felt pretty good. And there you go. That's the only real difference between you know, Steeda kits versus the Vorschlag. All right, so at this point, we're just going to reassemble the caster camber plate. Whatever you do, make sure this, whatever this is, this bolt ring thing is on the perch when you put it on. Oops, it goes this way. Because if they aren't on and you bolt this on, you won't be able to get it on after the fact. We're gonna put a little bit of Loctite on them just so they don't vibrate loose on us. All right, so our assembly is ready to go. It's as simple as just putting it on, putting on your top nut. All right, so the rough assembly is ready to go back on. Once we get it on the car, we'll worry about our shims and setting our ride height. All right, so we are all installed, just kind of skipped over that. That's obviously just the reverse of disassembly. You can see our perch up top there. And on the lower here, you can see we're starting off with 2 1/8" shims. Putting those in, I'll put a screenshot up of how to align those. You can see right now we're loose because I'm assuming we're gonna have to go up and down with this car to fine tune this, but normally you would tighten this up. So yeah, at this point we're ready to put the wheels on, lower the car, and get our ride heights back to where they were. All right, so we're about to wrap up the front spring perch install on this Mach 1 here. Now this is a bit of a funny case where, you know what, let me step back real quick. The customer, Victor here, do you mind being on video? once the stock ride height, and as you saw earlier, has the stock ride height, stock springs. So this is a bit of an extreme case of shims, I'll call it, where due to the soft spring rate, it's still stiffer, but the 325 pound spring rate, you know, a softer spring, the car will come down lower. But wanting that original ride height, you know, we can shim the car up, which is one of the nice things about this kit. You can change ride height for whatever reason you need. So as you can see, we did have to do five shims on here. So that way when the car comes down and all the weight is on it, it's at the proper height. Now, note, huge thanks to Victor here. With this amount of shims, we are gonna make either an option on the website of, you know, let us know what ride height you want or something, because we did need to use longer bolts as well. So that way you guys get the correct hardware. It's one of the little bit of tricky things, making something adjustable. You know, I want to send it with enough perches, proper hardware and stuff. So yeah, just wanted to make note of that. You could have, you know, any number of shims really. All right guys, so as you can see, we're back on the ground. Tape marks are off of it because we got it to where we needed. So this car was a little bit of an outlier with wanting stock ride height, but 325 springs. So we did have to shim it up, but you know, as you can see, it sits like real nice. We were able to get it pretty much dead on to the measurements we took earlier. But we're not wrapping this up because Victor here is actually going to VIR tomorrow. Actually the next 3 days. So we're gonna run to the track and see how he likes them. All right guys, we're here at VIR. You can see we got Victor's car behind us, so we're gonna chat with him, kind of see how he did. Full disclosure, I gave Victor 20 bucks to say only good things. I'm just kidding. All right, so here with Victor, the car owner. He ran all day yesterday. I think it was wet in the morning, right? But it did dry out in the afternoon, and then it's been dry all day today, so we'll just get his thoughts real quick. So how's it feel? Lap times versus previous, whatever?
Car is fantastic. I mean, the front setup has been very effective. Compared to my personal best, I'm running about 2.5 seconds a lap faster now. Wow. Car's more stable. Just feels better overall. Right. It's a really nice combination. I'd say there's no noise or anything whatsoever coming from the new setup. I've really been impressed. And
what was your previous best?
Previous best was a 208, high 208. Okay. I'm now doing a 206 flat.
Wow. So close to 3 seconds almost.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really honking along. I'm impressed.
And a 206 around here is moving pretty good on street tires too, nonetheless. What are they? Sport Cup 2s?
Sport Cup 2s.
With factory Aero package, you know. So yeah, moving.
In the dry with regular street tires, I'm running 208. Okay. Which is also pretty respectable for a street tire. So overall, super satisfied. I think it's been really great upgrade.
Good upgrade, awesome. All right guys, so there we go. That's where we're going to kind of wrap this one up. It was good getting his input on it, so you have it from somebody else other than myself. Watching the video, the amount of shim stack on his car, like I mentioned, is a little bit of a outlier case, where my car, for example, I have 400 pound springs, and want the car lower, I have 0 shims on my car. So what I'm going to do is on the website, kind of put like a little notes box. So then based off of what spring you choose, and let us know if you kind of want your car stock ride height or you want the car lowered, we're going to get some like 1/4 inch shims. So that way, like Victor's car won't have, I think there's like 5 or 6 1/8 inch shims on it. You could put some 1/4s instead of so many 1/8s. But again, if he wanted to lower his car, it would be as simple as just taking some shims out. So yeah, it was really cool to kind of get his input. So as always guys, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one.